notes, the notes were made quite some time ago because I know Job is a pretty heavy book, but I have some things listed that I hope will uplift you and it will help you understand that there was more going on in the book of Job than what most of us have been trained and induced to look at. Yes, everything that he lost was restored, and I'm not making light of that because he suffered great loss. And he was a man that the Most High held in high regard. And he was also a man that was in his community well thought of. He was a man that had substantial wealth, and he had a heart to share and give. According to the way we've been taught in Christianity, he could check all the boxes. So what he had, for the way that we've been taught, we think all of that is automatic. All of that is automatic. If I do A, B, C, and D, God's got to do this. Well, that's not true. And in dealing with Job, you begin to see there was dialogue taking place in the heavens with the Most High there conducting the dialogue. And we've read this a lot and just kind of brushed past the dialogue. Have you considered my servant Job? Most High said that. And then we read earlier where he said to the adversary, to our adversary, because that's another thing. The Most High has no adversary. Who can stand against him? See, but that's not how we've been taught. He has no equal. He has no equal. I'm going to go back to chapter 5, where Eliphaz, one of his friends, is talking. And I'm going to start in verse 17. He says, "How happy the person whom God corrects. So don't despise Shaddai's discipline, for he wounds, but he bandages the sore. His hands may strike, but they also heal. He will rescue you from 6 disasters. Yes, in 7, no harm will touch you. In famine, he will save you from death, and in war from the power of the sword. You will be shielded from the lash of the tongue, and you won't have to fear destruction when it comes. You will be able to laugh at destruction and famine. Also, you won't have to fear wild animals, for you will be in league with the stones in the field, and the wild animals will be at peace with you. You will know that your tent is safe. You will look around your home and miss nothing. Now remember what just happened to Job. Remember what just happened to Job. And this is Eliphaz's dialogue. And that's very close akin to what we say today. I'm above and not beneath. I'm the head and not the tail. And I'm not saying that those things aren't possibly so. But this man has just lost everything that means anything to him in life. And this is the discourse that another believer would have, thinking he's comforting him. And you know, some of you might say, well, Barry, you're kind of hard on Eliphaz. Well, this wasn't about Eliphaz. This was about Job. And with all this discourse Eliphaz had to say, Eliphaz was starting to make it about him. And he didn't suffer what Job suffered. In fact, in reading this, we never heard the Most High say, have you considered my servant Eliphaz? Let that say something to us. Let that say something to each one of us that feel like we've got to have something to say. You will know that your tent is safe. You will look around your house and miss nothing. Wow. You will know that your descendants are many. Your offspring like grass growing thick in the fields. You will come to your grave at a ripe old age like a pile of grain that arrives in season. And then he said this, which I thought was really interesting. Well, this is how they translated it. He says, we've looked into this. Who's the we? Who's the we? What happened to Job happened to Job because the Most High said, do what you do, but don't take his life. He didn't ask Eliphaz. At least it didn't say that. I'm trying to show us something here. The long and short of it is, when the Most High is doing something, maybe we ought to leave it alone. I'm not saying don't have empathy. Of course we should. But let's not be so quick to want to help out. Because sometimes we might do or say the wrong thing. Possibly. Even with a good intent. We've looked into this, and that's how it is. Listen and know that it's for your own good. I pray none of us have ever said something even similar to this to someone that just suffered a major tragedy. It just kind of reminds me a little bit on a totally different scale, but a lighter note. When we used to be practicing football, and I was a second string running back, and for those of you that don't know, second string running backs scrimmage against the first team defense, which means you take a beating in practice. And I'm purposely going to something that's a lot lighter, but I want you to understand that the injury is the same. I was running a sweep, and what little blocking I had just got wiped out. And the linebackers nearly cut me in half. And I was hurt. I was really hurt. My pride was hurt, but I was physically hurt. And you know what the coach said? Shake it off, Green. Shake it off. I'll be honest with you. When I used to have to go to practice, and we used to have to, they had this thing called a sled. And the coaches would sit there behind on the sled, and two guys would have to get in a stance, and you hit the sled and you trying to drive the sled back, and they be sitting on that thing talking about something, drive. And my disdain for those coaches, because I didn't like Allen Iverson didn't like the practice, I don't either. So, because I dislike Coach Wilson when it was my time to hit that sled, I tried to hit it with everything I had because I wanted to knock him off that sled. And see, he thought, man, he's really into it. No, I really wasn't into it. I wanted to knock his behind down. But I didn't weigh much or nothing. But for him to say, shake it off, and being young, you ain't got no better sense than to shake it off. Get back in the huddle. They're going to run the play again. Sometimes, saints, in life, sometimes we think we're so deep, we can be insensitive. That's why I said last week, or the last time I had the privilege of coming before you, let's this year just rediscover what it's like to just be human, just to be a good friend, just to be a decent person. Let's work on that this year. If a person is hurting, try to comfort them. If they want to vent, be a good ear, be a good listener. If they want to be left alone, don't take it personal. Leave them alone. We've looked into this, and that's how it is. Listen and know that it's for your own good. Now, the man lost his kids. All his stuff. His wife even said to him, why are you holding on to your integrity? Curse God and die. His wife. Now, I understand her saying that because those were her children too. Again, now I'm not. Saints, it's okay when you're hurt to say ouch. It's okay to say, Father, this is bitter. There's nothing you can say that's going to shock him. Let's not be plastic with the Most High. Sometimes, if something happens, you be like, wait a minute, hold it. I thought you had my back. Like I said, none of us like a 2x4 upside the back of the head. That hurts like the dickens. But have we been programmed and trained so much that, I don't receive that? Well, try telling that to that knot that's growing out the back of your head. See, we've been taught a lot of stuff that's kind of got us looking at the Most High with a gross misunderstanding about who he is. And we've allowed other cultures to give attributes to a lot of creation where I was sharing this with somebody the other day. I said, sometimes reading, particularly in the King James Version, and I'm not throwing shade on that, but some of this stuff almost looks like, have any of you ever looked at some of these Marvel comic movies? This shouldn't read that way. And we've attached attributes. I mean, some of us, the Most High has no equal. We've been taught about, wars that are coming, and we've been given a lot of material that has contributed to us making some bad decisions. Or, put it another way, making decisions that were really not in our best interest, but in somebody else's best interest. And it's okay if you want to do something for someone. That's okay. But when you can be convinced that this is what the Most High wants, that's dangerous. Because if they had any integrity, they would just tell you, this would really bless me, or this would really benefit me. Will you do it? But see, we've been around long enough, and we've been around church folk long enough, we know how to dress something up. And if you go around giving everybody the benefit of the doubt, and you forget that people can lie, you'll take everything they say as if it come from the very throne. And that's dangerous. We've looked into this, and that's how it is. Listen and know that it's for your own good. So I guess the we is Eliphaz and the other friends. They looked into the matter. You've heard me say a lot, and I really mean it And my prayer is that more so-called teachers or whatever they call themselves would make this statement: I am not on God's counsel. He does not knock on my door and say, well, Barry, this is what I'm planning to do. What do you think, buddy? But there are people that would have you think the Most High don't make a move unless he talk to their church or their congregation or the guys that they study with or the gals they study with. And that's not true. He doesn't need to confer with anybody. It's his show, period. Job responds. Listen to what Job, now he let Eliphaz say what he had to say. And I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but this is what, he says, I wish my frustration could be weighed, all my calamities laid on the scales. They would outweigh the sands of the seas. No wonder then my words come out stammered, for the arrows of Shaddai find their mark in me, and my spirit is drinking in their poison. The terrors of God are arrayed against me. Now that's how he feels. And so, it's almost like his friends are saying, hey man, you don't get to feel that. Who the heck are they? Who in Sam Hill are they? People want to always tell you how you should feel about something. Oh my, he was so out of character. Well, he just dealing with a tragedy. We are all frail. Yet we are all human. Saints, let's not tell one another, shake it off. No big thing. We're having a program next week. I still expect you to be there. That's crazy, folks. Like I said about this thing with COVID, it was amazing to me how callous we had become. People thinking their own agenda more important than the loss of lives. What happened to the believers? There was a time we used to really get shook up about that, and we would pray and seek the Most High. Now, man, so far the death tally is 500,000. Oh yeah, well, bake sale next week. I was doing one of my buildings, and one of the managers, he had other thoughts about, COVID and all of that, and I wasn't trying to talk to him or anybody else about anything, but he was like, and man, I think the whole thing is this, and sometimes some people gonna tell you what they think, whether you want to hear it or not. And a lot of times I'm like, well, hey, Barry, let's just go ahead and get in here, get this done, and get out of it. But then they look like they just make a beeline for you, and they, while you working, they talking. The guy said, well, in fact, I don't know anybody that even got it. And he was complaining because, for a while they had shut everything down and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, man, I'm saying to myself, in this country, we have become so entitled, we don't want to be inconvenienced for anything. Church folk included. We don't want anything to mess up whatever little 5-cent schedule we think we got. But oh boy, when that thing hits you. See, Eliphaz was talking, and he, I'm sure a lot of people, oh yeah, Eliphaz, remind him of that, yeah. In fact, I think somebody even said this in one of them, some of God to remind him of his word. Really? He will remember what he will, and what he chooses to forget, he'll forget. We're not talking about some genie in a bottle that you control or I control when we rub it. He's not that. Then in 14, listen to this is what Job says. Let me go to 11. Now, after listening to all the way Eliphaz, let's listen to what Job had to say. Job says in 11, he says, have I enough strength to go on waiting? What end can I expect that I should be patient? Is my strength the strength of stones? Is my flesh made of bronze? Clearly, I have no help in myself. Common sense has been driven from me. And then he says this. A friend should be kind to an unhappy man, even to one who abandons should die. But my brothers are as deceptive as vadi streams that soon run dry. They may turn dark with ice and be hidden by piled up snow. You know what he's saying? Where's your compassion, brother? You're asking me to stand strong. You're reminding me of how I lived. You even insinuated, Job, you must have done something. Because God don't do that. The God I serve don't do that. Well, maybe you ain't serving the true and living. See, maybe we don't know him as well as we like to give ourselves credit for knowing him. Especially if most of your foundation or most of our foundation is based on what we've been taught and preached at. A plus B and C does not always guarantee that the Most High is going to do thus and such. Stop thinking that way. Stop it. It is a stumbling block. And stop teaching that way. A friend should be kind to an unhappy man, even to one who abandons Shaddai. But my brothers are as deceptive as vadis, and vadi streams that soon run dry. They may turn dark with ice and be hidden by piled up snow. Then in 21, he says, for now you have become like that. Just seeing my calamity makes you afraid. Did I say to you, give me something? Or from your wealth, offer a bribe on my behalf? Or save me from the enemy's grip? Or redeem me from the clutches of the oppressor? Teach me, and I will be silent. Make me understand how I am at fault. Y'all remember the Bee Gees? They made that song, Jive Talking. Well, what they didn't know was they asked, what did jive mean? And one of the guys at the recording studio told him, man, jive is a euphemism for somebody that's basically talking out the side of their neck, talking a whole lot of stuff that ain't about nothing. See, they didn't even know what the word jive meant. And so basically, that's what Job is saying to Eliphaz. Don't jive me, man. You coming in here with all the little scriptures you learned. We was in class together. I went to so-and-so's seminar. I got the DVDs too. That's basically what he's saying. He said, man, I done lost everything. And this is how you comfort me? And see, sometimes when people think they know you, they'll do and say some of anything. I told you. I still love him today, but if I could have got my hands on him, I would have punched him in his face. And we've been through some tough times together, but he didn't know me that well. Never assume that you can just say anything to anybody just because you've been knowing them a long time. And I would even say you might want to take that if you're married. Measure what you say before you open your mouth. Because see, sometimes once you say a thing, you can say, well, you know, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean that. Well, okay. But sometimes, remember they used to say, talk to the hand? You know, because some of us, I know with the guys, sometimes you literally had to get up and walk away because you knew if you didn't walk away, you were going to hit somebody. I used to tell my sister all the time, I said, listen now. If you arguing with a guy, I said, if he walk away, don't go up behind him yakking. I said, because he walking away for your safety. See, she grew up with 4 brothers. And no, me and my buddy, we still not talking right now. I just pray they keep him alive. And well, Barry, as much of the words, you know you're supposed to pick up that phone and make things right. I ain't doing nothing right now. See, I'm being honest with you all. I'm not playing. I'm not trying to impress you. Because you know what? He can pick up the phone too. You ever had one of them friends tell me, you don't never call me? Well, you know my number too. But he's not like that. I'm just saying. I mean, and we were closer. We still are closer than brothers, but right now, we just shouldn't be together. Because, you know, here this man is having the privilege of handling the word, and he's still really ready to fight. Now, we done been in fights protecting each other. But see, here again, brothers fight. I have fought with every one of my brothers. But you better not do nothing to them. A friend should be kind to an unhappy man. A friend should be kind to an unhappy man. Even the one who abandons should die. Then he said, teach me and I will be silent. Make me understand how I am at fault. Honest words are forceful indeed, but what do your arguments prove? In other words, yeah, I know those scriptures too, Eliphaz. Remember when that so-and-so came to town? I gave a bigger offering than you did. Honest words are forceful indeed, but what do your arguments prove? Do you think your own words constitute argument, while the speech of a desperate man is merely wind? I suppose you would even throw dice for an orphan or barter away your friend. You know, now, the way we've been taught, Job's supposed to say, all right, Eliphaz, truly you have given me the word today. See, that's how sick we've been taught. I know you wouldn't say that if you didn't love me. Don't want that kind of love. Don't want that kind of friendship. That's plastic. So now I beg you, look at me. Would I lie to your face? Think it over, please. Don't let wrong be done. Think it over again. My cause is just. Am I saying something wrong? Can't I recognize trouble when I taste it? See, we've been taught believers don't have bad days. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Things don't always go right all the time. Can't I recognize trouble when I taste it? So basically, Eliphaz is saying, well, Job, I know you done lost everything, but man, keep your chin up, keep your head up, man. We got men's Bible study next Thursday. And I'm using that as an example. I know about Al's Deacon Green. Thank you. And we need you to bring the message. Because so-and-so and so-and-so bringing their whole congregation. And we're going to have a grand time. And then you can go back to planning all your children's funeral and everything. But, you know, we've been waiting on this for quite a while. Folks, when you find yourself blowing real life issues off because of don't forget to be human. If you really love somebody and they hurting, do what you can. Do what you can to be a real friend. Be real to them. And just talk to them. Just talk, or just listen. And again, let me say this too. I do believe Eliphaz had good intentions. But see, that's how they were being trained like that too. You know, believers don't have that's a negative confession. Oh, shut up. I wish they stopped saying that kind of stuff. It just grates on my nerves. Because it's plastic. Saints, the Most High is going to be who he is, whether we've been taught or not. And we've not been given an accurate depiction of how he operates. But Job, the book of Job, gives us some insight for real. Now, I know a lot of the so-called teachers have said, well, we're going to pull the curtain back and no, we're going to deal with what's written. Have you considered my servant Job? Most High said that. He didn't say Eliphaz. He didn't say Bildad. See, sometimes it appears, because again, I'm not on his council. He don't run everything by me. I'm on the outside just like you, looking in, just trying to hope I can see something, hoping he'll reveal something to me. See, sometimes we'll think, sitting on our derriere, I could do that. I could do that. I should be doing that. If you should be doing it, you would be doing it. But he didn't pick you. Think about that. Because maybe you weren't willing to pay the price. Most people don't think they know it all. But I'm going to give you a word of caution. Sometimes when you got a bright idea or you think you've surveyed the situation, and if you just do this, this, and this, sometimes I hope they don't take your advice. Because the bottom might really fall out. Can't I recognize trouble when I taste it? And then he asked me, he said, so now I beg you, look at me. Would I lie to your face? The man saying, hey, man, I'm hurting. I'm not trying. How can I shake this off? I don't feel like coming to the men's meeting on Friday. I want to mourn. Sometimes people want to deal with the situation the way they want to deal with it. Let's give them that. Let's stop trying to, oh, well, hey, I know exactly what to do. This, and this, and this. Like it's all tied up neat in a bow. That's it. Praise the Lord. Stop that foolishness. Let me share some things, because I know, like I said, this is kind of hot. Dealing with challenges, and that's just a nice word. Dealing with tragedy. Keep this in mind. And this is for all of us. Everything changes. It's time for us to do the same. See, folks, things aren't going to go back to the way they were, even 2 years from now. Here's something else to keep in mind. And again, please, none of these things are saying shake it off. I don't know what you can take. And you don't know what I can take, but the one that made us knows exactly what we can take. And if he decides that on a certain day, we're out of here, we're out of here. I don't care what our confession is. Listen to this. Everything you need to deal with the challenge is inside of you. Everything you need to deal with the challenge is inside of you. We've all overcome some very, very unpleasant situations in the past. And he's placed in us the ability to change or adapt. But he doesn't put a timetable on it. We put a timetable on it, and we shouldn't do that. Again, just because you have something planned doesn't mean you shortchange somebody else dealing with a tragedy. Because that's going to mess up your schedule, event, or whatever. Well, do we just stop everything? No, we don't. But what you want to convey to that person is, brother, sister, listen, take all the time you need. And not just be saying that. That's why I said this thing about, oh, well, if there's anything I can do, hey, if you don't mean it, don't say it. In this life, everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. In this life. And I remember I said, 20 or more years ago, I said, actually, we're in eternity now. We're in eternity now. Just think about that. Get your Bibles, get your reference books, and see if this boy's off his rocker or not. I know what I just said. And you know, this is something that all of us, you know, sometimes when you don't know what to say, all of us can point to this thing. Other people have been through similar situations. And so again, we say, oh, you know, yeah, I kind of bum rushed that person. I'm not going to do that this time. You know, I will say for myself, and I really mean this, what was occurring when I got here, we could have still been doing that now. It's not imperative that I teach. Now, that's how I feel now. You got to check with the other folks about their. But I mean that. And again, I'm not just saying that. I mean it. See, the system has messed us up. It really has. Oh, listen at this one. Dealing with challenges, dealing with tragedy. Great things require time and effort. Time and effort. I want an answer. I got to have an answer. Keep coming to him. Keep going to him. Keep going to him. Keep going to him. He may answer. Now, he may say, Barry, Don't come to me about that anymore. My decision is final. I'm thinking about old Moses. Moses wanted to get in that thing, and all the things he had done, all of what they had been through together, all the discourse they had. No, they your people. No, they your people. No, they your people. No, they your people. Well, everybody know they were his people. Moses ain't creating. I mean, yeah, he probably had some kids, but I mean, he only got the kids because the one that made him allowed him to have some kids. Yeah, keep going to him. Sometimes, sometimes he wants us to continue to pursue. Here's another one, and then I'm gonna end on this one, because what I saw, this one was right in line when I saw this morning, and it was beautiful. Listen, you can always ask for help. See, when we really love each other, you can always ask for help. Now, let me give you a little caveat with this. Francis, look at me. I'm just kidding. Guys, I like to cut the fool sometimes because too many of us try to act too deep, and it just makes me want to throw up sometimes. I'm just going to be honest with you. Listen to this. It says, you can always ask for help, but listen at this now. Be strong enough to stand alone. Wise enough to know when you need help. And brave enough to ask for it. See, but you'll only want to do that in an atmosphere where there's trust. And that's why I was saying earlier, sometimes, folks, you might find out church folk all you got. I hope it don't come to that in any of your lives. Because they a funny bunch sometimes. You can always ask for help. Be strong enough to stand alone. Wise enough to know when you need help, brave enough to ask for it. God bless you.